Okay, sup you chuckle fucks, it's your boy, Doc Arco here, but what if Issei was neglected? So, this is going to be a new what if. You probably guys would probably like it, probably. You guys really like the other four that I made. Like the Arankar one, the Zanpakuto one that he becomes somewhat like a captain. Well, after he died, the one that he has a new dragon or different dragon, or the other one. What was the other one? Wait, what? Oh yeah, the evil dragon one. So yeah, you guys probably going to like this. What if I actually have no clue? You guys actually just like over here watching it, smashing the like. Yeah, you get the point. Which I don't mind, but hey, I will bring them back. Don't worry. I'm sorry for not uploading that much. But yeah. But of course, with that happening, let me begin. Just what if? Sorry for not uploading it. I just been working, mostly having a job. Mostly that's something that I usually have to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Don't know where I get out, and yeah. But not the point. Sorry for rounding on, but yeah. I also have one more what if idea that I want to do. If I hit 900 subscribers, maybe before mostly the end of the year, I actually want to do one more what if, and that is what if Issei was an assassin? Because I had the idea for a while, but I never decided to do it. Do I have the thumbnail? No, not really. Do I have the thumbnail for this one? I don't know. This what if was just kind of made, mostly thought yesterday. Also, I am going to start on Takamichi what ifs just because I got bored. I want to make him be either Quicksilver, Iron Man, Hulk, or an assassin. I have no fucking clue. Where the fuck did my mind go yesterday? I was talking to Dante, and Dante was like, What the fuck is wrong with you?" And so yeah, not the point. But of course, I also want to say thanks for getting me to 800 subscribers. Damn, that's actually... I thought it would take slower or longer to actually get to 800 subscribers. I also noticed that I'm getting lots of subscribers, like a lot of notifications. Like, ding, 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 ding. I'm like, what the fuck is that noise? I really thought that was just YouTube kind of acting up again. Not the point. But other than that, let me begin into this. What if I actually also want to mention that I have no clue if I'm going to keep uploading videos in the near future. Because in the near future, I will have to get a job of electrician and other shit, but yeah. But that's not the point here, there, or whatever. Let me begin into this what if. Let me shut the fuck up and let me begin. So we begin into mostly what if Issei was neglected after Azuya's arrival. So yeah, pretty much this is going to happen after mostly Azuya becomes his sister, somewhat his adopted sister. Instead of mostly original canon where his parents are trying to make Issei and Azuya get really close and trying to, smash and trying to get grandchildren, they will actually neglect Issei in this one. They will literally kind of focus all their attention on Azuya, which making Issei very sad. Like, he becomes so depressed from the couple of days that mostly Azuya has been with him. Of course, he's not angry at Ozzy, he's just completely saddened why his parents neglect him. He always knew that his parents always wanted a, daughter. They never did really want a son, or they probably did. Maybe Ozzy's just too cute and they're getting overwhelmed, or he doesn't understand why, but he becomes really depressed. And this is where, in the mood of the ORC, he becomes a little different. He always becomes just mopey and depressed. He tries to hide it and tries to always fake smile, but it really doesn't work too much. But this is where, one day mostly his father, mostly his mother, mostly his father is named Goro Hyodo, and his mother is named Mika Hyodo. This is where, they went to take mostly Azuya to the mall, and of course during that day, they locked the door. They didn't leave Issei a spare key to go inside, and Issei was freezing because he didn't wear a jacket or any of that. He was cold because that day it was also snowing. Yeah. Weird phenomenon happening, snowing. Hey, you can't blame me because that shit is also weird. Not gonna lie. Mostly now in today's day, it can literally snow in the middle of fucking spring. What do you mean? When this is gonna happen? So yeah, as I also mentioned, this is kind of like springtime and it fucking starts snowing. Which Issei's confused in why it starts snowing. But this is where, well, Issei is freezing. This is where, well, he had no other choice but to contact someone that mostly his father forbid him to ever contact. Mostly his father and mother forbid him when he was younger. But Issei just didn't care at this point. He went to contact his uncle. His uncle is quite famous to be a manipulator throughout the whole supernatural. Just Issei doesn't know about this. Or, not throughout the whole supernatural, but he has a legendary status of being a manipulator and also being quite powerful. This is where, well, Issei went to go kind of talk to his uncle. This is where, well, just asking if he could actually, like, sleep over with him and, just talk to him. Because, well, he's also quite depressed and he didn't really meant to say all that, but he was just really crying on the phone, kind of trying not to cry, which mostly his uncle kind of heard this and says, Issei, if you want to come over, you can. I don't mind it. This is where Issei says, really? Of course. You are my precious nephew, though. This is where, well, mostly Issei says, thank you, Uncle Eisen. This is where, well, mostly his uncle is right now and kind of like he's sitting on a chair and he's over here, like the darkness is kind of covering his face and he just grins with such a sly grin. This is where, well, mostly Issei rushes over towards where his uncle's at, and of course he had to take the train because it was quite farther from the Hyodo family. He was kind of in Tokyo, but yeah. Well, it was kind of near Tokyo, kind of not. But this is where, well, Issei gets to mostly, mostly Tokyo, and of course where, well, he thought he was going to get attacked by a giant creature that kind of looks like a stray, but the stray died in an instant. Or it looked like a stray, but it was destroyed, like the mask. It had a white mask, and it was just shattered into a million pieces. Who was walking right now in front of him was actually none other than his uncle. His uncle is actually the height of kind of like 6. His uncle's the height of being 6'1", and of course he has longish kind of like brown, well, not longish brown hair, but it's kind of like a little bit like the similar same height as Issei, but not into a spiked up or whatever. It's kind of just smoothed down into kind of going backwards. This is where he has one long strand of brown hair on his face. But this is where, well, he has goldenish brown eyes similar to Issei, but of course they're mostly kind of like nephew and uncle. This is where, well, Issei said, Uncle, is that you? This is where, well, mostly Issei has kind of only seen his uncle once in his life. That's just because when he was younger, he was so curious on why his parents would keep kind of trying to never let him kind of talk to his uncle. Especially his father. Every time Issei talked to his father just gets into a furious mood and says, don't talk about him, no. Don't ever talk to him, I forbid you. This is where his father said. But Issei still refused to he was too much of a curious kid at that time. He was also quite very innocent. When he met his uncle grins at the fact that he can try to manipulate his nephew when he was younger. But instead of Issei being manipulated, Issei knew mostly better. And he was mostly unchanged. He was still very innocent. Which made Eisen kind of wonder if Issei would ever be manipulated in the near future. His innocence is too pure, and of course he couldn't be really manipulated by him. But of course, well, we'll see Aizen's, which is interesting in Issei. He knows that he can easily manipulate his brother, even his wife, but he couldn't manipulate Issei. So he always took an interest with Issei, as mostly being his nephew. This is where, well, Issei kind of just smiles warmly to see his uncle, but of course there's a little sorrow and hurt in mostly his eyes. This is where, well, Aizen said, hello there, Issei. Tell me, what's happening? Who did this to you? And, tell me, do you want me to murder them? This is where Issei's eyes widen in an instant, and this is where he tries to kind of cover them up and says, no, I'm fine. This is where, well, mostly his uncle says, you know, as a grand master of chess, I can tell when someone's, face and structure and sadness is actually appearing. You can lie to me all you want, but I already knew what's happening. You do? No, but I do know that you're in pain. So why don't you talk to your uncle? Me. This is where, well, mostly Issei kind of, he doesn't really have anyone else to talk to. He could talk to mostly Rias about this, but instead he just didn't want to kind of bother her. So of course, well, he decides to kind of talk to his uncle about this over at mostly Aizen's house, which Aizen has kind of huge mansion. Not gonna lie, this man is rich. He is more richer than his brother. Because A, he's good looking than his brother. He's better than his brother in a lot of things. And his brother's just jealous. Of course, the only thing that he doesn't have is a family. But he really didn't want a family at all. This is where, well, he thought it was just going to be counterproductive to have a family. But of course, that wasn't the case when he was kind of understanding Issei's innocence, much when he was younger. Of course, well, mostly he kind of listened intently for Issei to talk to. But this is where, well, we go into mostly Issei just talking towards mostly Aizen about what exactly is happening in his life. This is where, well, Issei did talk to him about his devil knowledge, even though he was forbidden not to tell humans about this. But this is where Issei kind of said that he was reincarnated as a devil after his ex killed him because she was a fallen angel. This is where he kind of explains about like the supernatural, even the sacred gear that he has. He also explains and what happened. His ex-girlfriend killed a friend of his that mostly became a sister of his, like a adopted sister. His family started neglecting him, and he's just been terrible for at least 2 weeks. It's been just terrible. He's been getting less sleep. His parents started annoying him more to kind of let Ozzy sleep in his room. He sleeps outside or whatever, the couch or whatever. He hasn't been eating well because his parents neglect him with that. This is where, well, Ozzy keeps hearing this and nods. This is where, well, he's trying to keep his own anger in check. Because even though he might be a true manipulator, he doesn't like when people hurt his innocent nephew. Because yes, he still thinks of his nephew quite innocent. Literally, just the purest thing ever. Because he's unchangeable by his own manipulation when he was younger. Because when Aizen did try to manipulate Issei when he was younger, mostly instead of changing, he just stayed the same. Still innocent. This is where, well, mostly Aizen kind of was interested with that. But yeah. But this is where, well, mostly Aizen nodded and saying, I see. Well, it looks like you're quite tired, Issei. Maybe you should go to sleep in one of my rooms, spare rooms. This is where, well, mostly Issei said, are you sure about that? Of course. But tomorrow, you're not going to school, okay? Wait, why? Well, let's just say that you're not going to school for at least 3 weeks. But, wait, why? This is where, well, Aizen says, don't question me, Issei. Yes, sir. This is where, well, mostly Issei kind of just walk upstairs. But yeah, Aizen right now has something to plan with Issei. Issei might be the Red Dragon Emperor, a devil, which he's kind of annoyed for being a devil. He doesn't like the devil race for one reason. They really reincarnate anyone with power. And of course, that's just annoying. He doesn't like serving anyone, especially the Soul King. So, of course, well, he just hates how his adorable nephew is right now kind of dealing with mostly reincarnation, serving some red hair. Which doesn't really believe that his nephew should serve anyone, especially some red hair princess. Spoiled as hell. This is where, well, he decides to kind of, well, mostly start working on something. This is where, well, we go into a time skip of the next day. Issei wakes up, and this is where, well, Issei thinks that he can sneak out his uncle's, like, house to get to school, but this is where, well, Aizen was already, like, 4 steps ahead of him, and already planned everything. Issei kind of tried to sneak out from the door, and Aizen says, where do you think you're going, Issei? You think I didn't notice you were going to try to sneak out? I know you also tried to sneak out your room, but your windows were locked. You also tried to sneak out the back door, which that was locked. And you tried to look for something that was not the front door to get out, but that was also locked. This reason said, how did you know? Issei was shocked. This is where Issei tried to open the front door, but the front door was gone. This is where Issei says, how did, what the? This is where, well, Aizen says, you are not going to leave. No. You know what I'm going to do to you? Issei said, what are you going to do, uncle? I'm going to train you, of course. I'm going to train you to actually be smart and strong and not need anyone to help you. But what about school? School is not going to teach you enough stuff about the real life world. Besides, you're now sent into the supernatural world because your parents are idiots. This is where, well, mostly Issei says, hey, they're not. Issei, tell me, did they ever care about you when you were younger? did they ever kind of question or mostly ask you questions about who I am? This is where Issei said, no, they just forbid me to kind of never talk to you. But as a curious kid, I didn't care and I thought you were just cool. Interesting. Okay. Tell me, Issei, do you know about our family lineage? Family lineage? Aren't we just human? No. You see here, me and your father are half Shinigami. Or, not half Shinigami, we're Shinigamis. This is where Issei winds his eyes and says, what the? But, does that mean you were supposed to be half Shinigami, but I think your father did something to you to make you a full human. And when that double incarnation happened, that human side was taken as a double. But I have a way for you to become back into a Shinigami. You were supposed to be a half Shinigami, not human fully, but yeah. Also, I found out that you had also something inside you, probably. If I can understand this right, your mother isn't also kind of fully human. She's supposed to be something else, but I'll get into that later. This is where Issei nodded and says, what does this Shinigami does? Well, other than the fact that it's named Death God. It's quite interesting, Issei. You are going to be able to use lots of abilities, like me and your father. Or mostly me, because I am the better one. This is where Issei says, are you just having a way to flex on my father? Oh no, I truly am the better one than him. Truly, I had a mastery of almost all techniques, mastery of my Zanpakuto, even though I didn't have Bankai, but that's not the point. This is where, well, mostly Aizen didn't say that loud, because yes, he has a mastery of his Bankai, he just doesn't like revealing it at all. Which if he revealed it, I think the whole world will explode, because everyone will be going crazy saying Bankai Kyokusugetsu. But yeah, you get the point. But not the point. This is where, well, mostly Issei nodded and say, I see. So you're gonna train me into being a Shinigami? Of course. But first, we're gonna train your resistance to spiritual reality. What do you mean? He just where Issei was smashed to the ground with a very powerful Reality blast. No, not blast, pressure from Aizen. Issei says, what the hell is this? This is where, well, mostly Aizen says, I'm going to be training you in a lot of things, Aizen. I mean, not Aizen, Issei. I'm going to be training you in Reality resistance. I'm also going to train you in how to control Reality. Kido, Bakudo, Hado, I'm going to be teaching you all those. I'm also going to teach you Flash Step, probably advanced Flash Step, even though I didn't have an idea on how to do that, but you'll probably be able to. Your Zanpakuto, I don't know what exactly your Zanpakuto might be. It could be straight up the power to just dream. I have no clue. Or imagine. But really, I really don't know about that. Because you see here, my Zanpakuto, I'll tell you later. When we actually kind of get you physically built and also physically customized to your new Shinigami powers. But how would that happen? How would I become a Shinigami like this? This is where Aizen stabs Issei with the sword. With, we'll see it wasn't a sword, it was like a knife, and Issei chest and Issei cough up blood. But instead of Issei dying, this is where his evil pieces were launched out of his body. This is where the blade itself right now went into Issei. It was like a bluish blade. This is where, well, and right now it just started changing, speeding up Issei's process into actually turning him into Shinigami. Instead of having a half devil, mostly he's half devil, half human now, he is now half human, half Shinigami. He transformed. He just turned different. His uncle knew that Issei's mostly processing is going to take a while, but yeah. But this is where Aizen also wants to talk to the damn dragon. The dragon that's went inside Issei's body, the sacred gear. But he then thinks about it and he might talk to the dragon later. He knows that Issei's body isn't physically strong enough and didn't have enough magic for the dragon to have a contact with him. Unlike some of the other users that mostly Aizen has heard of. Mostly other users that have very powerful magical kind of power, physically, or had a very powerful lineage. This is where, well, he doesn't even know how mostly the dragon is going to react when mostly he hears about Issei being the nephew of, well, a very powerful and infamous kind of villain to the Soul Society being, well, none other than Aizen. Because Aizen's still a infamous villain, but yeah. This is where, well, we'll see, Aizen right now kind of pulls out something from his, like, pocket. It's like this bluish and purplish ball, which he's just kind of, like, looking at it. And this is where he releases kind of mostly releases the kind of seal around it. Mostly, he created this out of the same version, out of the same kind of holy cube that he would kind of use in the near future. This is where, well, it's quite powerful, and it should be able to merge with Issei's body without having any kind of resistance or any of that. Which he then puts it in Issei's body slowly. Because he's actually going to let that kind of have a seal, a temporary seal, instead of the very strong seal, just so it wouldn't fully merge with Issei. And when Issei ever needs this much power, or he's in a struggle, dire situation, this will activate and naturally fully fuse with Issei's body. This is where, well, we'll see Aizen. He's thinking like 40 steps ahead. He's making sure that his nephew does not die. He refuses to let his nephew be controlled or be under anyone. Just like he is also rebellious and does not like being under the Soul King or anyone at all. He just doesn't like taking orders from anyone. He is a god. This is where, well, mostly those who looks for stronger beings than them. That's how all kings are made of. But that is also how gods are made of. No, I'm just kidding. I fucked up the probably saying, but yeah, you get the point, right? But we go into mostly a time skip of, well, mostly Issei waking up. It's been 3 days and Issei's like wound from his like chest was fully healed finally. But this is where, well, mostly Issei look at his uncle in their eyes like, why would you stab me? Issei, this is where, or not Issei, Aizen said, easy, Issei, to get rid of these evil pieces. You won't need these no more. This is where Aizen has these evil pieces in his hand right now, kind of like one finger using a bit of Ryosu in his hand, so it won't merge with him, and then put them in a box. You won't need these things. Besides, they're kind of useless. Also, I found out they had a seal on you to kind of make sure that you didn't have full power or control over them. Don't worry. We might use them in the near future. I might be able to create something else that is not a pawn piece. Maybe I could. That actually could be a stretch, but I wonder if I can use the technology of the devils. Maybe change it. Instead of having demonic energy, I could probably take out the, You know what? That could be a good idea. That's where Issei's uncle. You forget that I'm here? Oh no, I knew that you were there. I was just thinking. Now, let's go to training. This is where, mostly, we go into a time skip about mostly like 3 weeks later. Issei has been training in how to use Kido's spells, Bakudo spells, Hado spells. His favorite Hado spell is actually going to definitely be the 90. Hado 90 being that the black coffin. Killing people, well, not killing people, just hurting them pretty bad. This is where, well, he knows he has to have great control in that, but of course he doesn't really mind it. Also, his outfit, his hairstyle, his eye color, well, his eye color stayed the same as being a goldenish brown, but his hairstyle became kind of like this, if you can see in the image. So of course he does have like this hair hook on top of his head somewhat, kind of mostly some hair on his face, and of course just hair kind of going down. But yeah, this is where, well, he kind of looks like Aizen, but just not entirely. He doesn't want to copy Aizen's hairstyle, mostly his uncle. But of course, this is where, well, he also unlocked his Zanpakuto, which his Zanpakuto is named, well, so its name is this, but, well, not this, it's mostly his name is named, Magen Soso, meaning Fantasy Blade. But yeah, this is where, well, this is actually like first like Zanpakuto state. It isn't even his Shikai release or even his like Bankai release. This is just his first stage. And of course the blade itself is literally different from any other blade. That's just because Issei has a power over imagination somewhat. He's like, what's it called, Grammy, but a little bit more different. Issei's outfit also did change to kind of wearing something like this. But yeah, fashionable. But it's mostly somewhat suit, but not much. This is where, well, Issei also kind of did learn about his Shikai and Bankai release. He won't use it too much. His Shikai release might be always on just so he can control imagination, just so he can beat anyone up. which he won't use his power for fully evil. He's not like Aizen. Aizen fully couldn't corrupt them at all. And that's what he likes about Issei. He can't be fully corrupted. He's literally too pure. That's why mostly he was shocked to understand that Issei was able to control imagination. Just because of his pure thoughts, mostly out of the pure goodness of his heart. Which Aizen was quite proud to understand. Also, mostly the imagination ability can somewhat copy other people's abilities, other Zanpakutos, if he has an understanding to that. He can also have an understanding to other people's like magic powers. He can just somewhat display them, but they will not be made out of magic, will be made out of his spiritual reality. This is where, well, he can kind of think of destruction and actually learn about it, but yeah. But he doesn't like destroying stuff. He likes trading things, which is interesting. This is where, well, mostly while Aizen kind of nodded that Issei can actually use somewhat mostly Kyokusugetsu, similar to same, but it's actually a different version. Like, instead of being called Kyokusugetsu, it's just kind of an illusion ability that will not be fully controlling what's it called, like everyone's 5 senses. It's kind of can be different. Mostly it's a different ability that Issei can just use with his imagination with his sword. But yeah. Now, this is where, well, this is literally just the first stage. But yeah, the Zanpakuto. But second stage is quite interesting. Third stage, mostly the Shikai and Bankai. But yeah. Now, this is where, well, mostly Issei is just kind of a very strong Shinigami, half Shinigami. But this is where, well, even though he's half Shinigami, he is quite fast, strong, and is grateful for his uncle to actually take care of him. His uncle has also kind of cooked food for him. Just actually acted like a normal someone uncle. Sometimes. Well, I mean, then again, he's just happy to be kind of smart. Well, not kind of smart. He is smart. He was trained by Aizen. He is kind of someone that also kind of thinks ahead, like 40 steps ahead or 4 or whatever. He's just someone that genius, and he did try on a lot of things. But yeah. Also, I should mention one thing. Issei did eat somewhat good like food, vegetables, and other things, which in Issei's 3 weeks of training, he had grown a bit like 10. He became bigger, but yeah. But of course, with Issei being 5'10", this is where, well, he became bigger, much more kind of lean, muscular. He became really lean, muscular, but also the fact that he also kind of unlocked his sacred gear, and that is the boosted gear. Now, when Dietrich heard about Aizen, he was horrified, shocked, and most of all, he luckily didn't have him as a host, but Issei's ability can copy someone Kyokusugetsu to make him under control. Which mostly Dietrich is horrified of Issei using an ability like that. But Issei isn't purely evil like Aizen. He's just purely neutral, well, chaotic, good, but yeah. Unlike Aizen, who's literally purely evil. Or, right now, he's like, just chaotic good with Issei, but everyone else he doesn't like at all. He definitely doesn't like his older, not his older brother, his twin brother named Goto. He says, fuck you. But yeah. This is where, well, mostly, Aizen is actually thinking of actually kind of adopting Issei. If mostly his brother doesn't want Issei, then he will be happy to take him off of most of his brother's hands. He kind of had a very interest with Issei. He's always quite talented. He's quite a fast learner, and he's quite just determined in a lot of things. That's where, well, which makes him really a good candidate for mostly just Aizen to kind of leave something behind. Even though Issei is not purely his blood, he's just a nephew. He doesn't mind kind of teaching Issei anything. This is where, well, just some things are quite forbidden, but not the point. Issei has also learned how to hunt down hollows, which he is quite very stealthy, fast, and easily to kill the hollows. He doesn't let them even feel his Ryotsu, because he is fast like an assassin. Always fast enough to kill them in an instant. He always create blades that are kind of small to just to stab them or destroy them or whatever. Which makes Aizen quite, nod at mostly Issei. He is kind of working on stealth, which is quite good to have. Which is really good to have, but yeah. But this is where, well, we go into mostly the 3 weeks being over. This is where Issei is yawning, and this is where, well, Issei says, Uncle, Aizen. This is where, well, Aizen looks down and says, yes, Issei. Do I have to go back to school? Unfortunately, yes, you will have to go back to school. Can't I just like drop out? Sorry, but you will need to go. Because your parents probably will be worried about you. I actually have no clue if they are still worried about you. Why can't you just adopt me? This is where, well, mostly Issei said. This is where Aizen smiles and says, sorry, but I can't, Issei. You would just have to stay with my nephew for now. Understood. This is where, well, Issei has also become quite respectful and other things. Also, his hot-headed instinct to always like fight or whatever, he became much more calmer, more somewhat not manipulator, but he is quite in skill in manipulating people. With his innocent charms and other things, he is really easily to manipulate people, believing that he's weak or just very innocent to the pure that most people can never understand him. But he could always like easily kind of destroy people with just his manipulation alone. He can easily change someone mostly perceptive on like life. But yeah, just by Issei alone. But this is where, well, we go into a time skip of Issei getting back to school. Issei is yawning and kind of annoyed. He doesn't really like going to school just because everyone annoys him now. He, instead of becoming perverted, he's just different entirely. He is less perverted. He doesn't like peeping on people. He thinks it's kind of creepy and realizes it's quite stupid for him to believe that when he was younger, or mostly when he was a teenager, to peep on people. Mostly, since he's no longer a kind of devil slash human, he is a Shinigami slash human, making him mostly quite powerful. He's physically much more powerful than a normal human. Also, the fact that if he might punch someone, he's going to knock their lights out into next year. But yeah, Issei is quite powerful. Issei might have to hold back with some braces that mostly some bracelets on his arms and legs that basically are kind of like weighted kind of, well, braces, but at the same time they're like suppression bracelets that are right now suppressing his Ryatsu, so he doesn't accidentally just go into a human place with people having low Ryatsu and accidentally crush them. But Issei still has very powerful Ryatsu around him. It's just that people aren't able to sense the powerful dense Ryatsu that literally is a line around Issei, and they accidentally get close to Issei. Issei can easily kind of destroy them. On accident. Kind of. I'll say kind of because he doesn't really care too much. But yeah. But this is where, well, mostly Issei is just kind of just like going to school in class. This is where he is wearing the uniform. But of course, this is where, well, his look, his mostly just face and everything has become different. This is where every girl is having multiple heart in their eyes, wondering who is exactly Issei, who is he, is he a new student? They don't even know this is Issei. He might have not shown up for 3 weeks, but this is still Issei. Issei is getting a nerve with the girls. This is where he's like, oh god, stop fucking looking at me. This is where, well, mostly we go into a time skip of mostly, well, the teacher asking Issei who exactly he is and if he's a new student and if he's supposed to be in this class. Issei firstly insists, no, I'm not a new student. Sorry for not showing up for 3 weeks. I was right now dealing with family problems. And also, third, yeah, this is the fucking class I'm supposed to be in. The teacher said, okay, can I know your name? Issei Hayatu. Or mostly Issei wanted to say Issei Aizen, but this is where he decides to say Issei Hayatu. Mostly Hyoto. This is where, well, mostly the teacher widened his eyes and, well, widened her eyes when seeing Issei. This teacher has kind of purplish hair with reddish eyes. And this is where, well, she right now looks at him and can sense a very powerful aura around him. It might be a small little line around his body, but still it's quite powerful and dense. Issei's sharp look, his mostly kind of looking emotionless but still kind of innocent, just makes her kind of blush a bit. This is where, well, she then kind of snaps out and says, I see. Well, Issei Hyoto, may you go to your seat. Issei nodded and then walks towards the seat. Everyone was so dumbfounded. This was Issei. The girls were believing if this was really reality or are they under some kind of spell of illusion or whatever. Issei kind of was amused and chuckles at that because his uncle would definitely kind of put everyone in a fucking illusion. But Issei is not like that, so of course he's not going to put them in an illusion. He's not an idiot for that. This is where, well, mostly other than that, everyone just believes that they're trapped in some kind of genjutsu. Some people are saying, release, release. This cannot be true. How did Issei, the perverted beast, became a handsome person? This is where all the girls are crying. This is where Issei switch up and seeing after mostly antics, and this is where, well, mostly both of his friends, Murahama and Matsuda, were glaring at him and says, how the fuck did you become a pretty boy? I changed, I worked out. This is where, well, one girl who was named Aika Kiryu kind of walks over and says, worked out. Interesting. But I wonder if your, member did change. She uses her purple kind of like mostly glasses to actually see. And this is where Aika falls over right now, her face entirely red. And this is where, well, she's kind of giggling to herself. This is where, well, Murahama and Matsuda say, what the hell did he do to her? Issei said, nothing. I think she just passes out from either. I have no fucking clue. Don't question me. Issei has a fucking idea of what she probably looked at. He's not gonna say anything. This is where, well, his double jeans weren't the only thing that changed within him. This should shut the fuck up. But yeah. But this is where, well, mostly Mariyama and Catherine appears and says, what did he do to her? Issei says, nothing. I literally just sat here. Did you see me move my hands, arms, or did anything to her? Actually, how about you check her impulse to see if she's still alive? This is where, well, mostly one girl says, well, from the freaking giggles that we're hearing from her, she still seems to be alive. Exactly. Do I look like I just did something to her? Do you think I can just move in high speeds? No. What am I, some kind of superhero just being able to move in high speeds, being able to stop all of you? Like Quicksilver or what? What am I, Quicksilver now? Damn, if I was Quicksilver, I would not be here. I would literally go trolling the hell out of the cops. This is where, well, we'll see, they were just dumbfounded. One guy in the school, or in the class, kind of says, amen to that. Because I would also love to have superhero powers, but not being as a hero, being a villain. Exactly, that man gets it. This is where, well, people are going like, nah, you people are just menaces. This is where, well, mostly Issei giggles and says, other than that, but for real, I didn't really do anything to her. If I was able to do something, you girls would have been the one to stop me in an instant. Other than that, I should probably be going. This is where Issei kind of gets up and Moriyama grabs his hand and says, no, you gotta talk. We don't have anything to talk, Moriyama-chan. Moriyama glares at him and this is where, well, Issei said, what do you want to talk? Come over here. This is where, well, Moriyama just drags Issei out of the classroom. This is where Issei says, what the? Moriyama, stop dragging me up. I can literally walk on my own. This is where Issei gets kind of annoyed, just believing that Moriyama was just using her strength to kind of pull him. This is where, well, Moriyama says, this is where they get behind the school. Luckily, she managed to ditch her own friends and other things, including her club members. And this is where, well, mostly, Issei says, do you need something, Moriyama? Moriyama says, I do. What happened to you? Why did you change? And why do you have that innocent looking face just like in middle school? This is where, well, mostly not middle school, elementary. Issei blushes and says, wait, how do you know about that? This is where Moriyama says, nothing. Let's not get off of topic. Issei, what exactly happened to you? You became so gloomy and depressed when 3 days, mostly before your 3 weeks disappearance. You were very depressed and gloomy. You were also kind of scrawny and skinny. When I ask you what happened, you just shake it off with a fake smile. Now, when you're back to school, you have a smirk, a smile, and kind of usually goofy looking kind of smile. Your innocent self. Are you really Issei, or did you just become a 180 and become a different person? Issei just sighs and just says, look here, Moriyama. I am still Issei. I am still the lovable, perverted idiot. Probably. Actually, I'm not perverted. I really don't like peeping on people. This is Moriyama shocked. So, you're not gonna peep on me no more? What, am I not beautiful? Issei says, stop. Before you say you're not beautiful, before you think that I'm really not interested in people, you're still quite beautiful. A very gorgeous and amazing girl. This is where, well, Issei kind of lifts up her chin, making Moriyama blush in an instant. Besides, understand this. Even if I'm no longer peeping, even if I'm no longer perfect, even if I'm no longer peeping on you specifically, you're always still quite beautiful. Very lovely. Your eyes are kind of a honey brown color. Your hair is quite beautiful and a very good style. And if I might say, your personality is quite cute. Moriama's face almost becomes entirely red and she almost passes out. Just because of the compliments, the smooth words from Issei. Issei has been trained in how to speak quite smoothly from Aizen. This is where, well, Moriama, really? This is where, well, mostly she's flustered, blushing. She's actually thinking, instead of thinking of Kiba like the Prince of Koa, she's making Issei kind of believe that. Like, she is imagining Issei with the kind of a crown. And of course, having his hair kind of like pushed back just because of like being either wet from water or just sweat. And Moriama's just blushing entirely. She is having quite dirty thoughts. And she's going to definitely ask Aika what she passed out from. But she can only guess. And this is where her face becomes even more shades of red. This is where Issei giggles and says, well, what a cute reaction you're having. Well, but other than that, I have to be going. I have to be going to the ORC club. And since I'm no longer a club with their members, I gotta go tell them that. Moriyama nodded. She said, wait, you're no longer, wait, what? Issa says, bye-bye. This is where, well, we'll see. Well, Moriyama said, this is where she falls down. Her face was entirely so red. She thought she was going to have a blood nose. She thought she was going to act like Aika a bit. She couldn't resist her perverted side. Even though she doesn't have a perverted side, she just couldn't resist it with Issei. Issei's innocence is just so cute and adorable to her. She might become a little possessive a little bit. She doesn't like how Rias and the others are next to him, and she does kind of become a little yandere after that. But this is where, well, we go into Issei going to the club. This is where, well, to the ORC club. When Issei gets to the club, he kind of just says, yo. Or mostly, he's just walking to the club with a calm pace. And when he opens the door, he sees Riser Phoenix, because this is still something that mostly Riser will appear. Rias Gremory, and like all the other club members. Now, of course, Riser is joining mostly Ozzy and the other members to kind of, well, if Rias doesn't actually accept the marriage, he will burn them all. That's where Riser's Parage is there. Also, when they were confused to see the door open, even Gracie just sees this brown haired person, quite interested, but she was confused, like, is he even a part of the double Parage, or is he just a normal human? This is where, well, Riser right now points his hand at, well, Issei, and says, Rias, who exactly is this? Another pawn? Another member of yours? Doesn't matter. I'll burn him alive. And this is where, well, mostly Issei just like literally sees the fire, goes up to it close, just blows on it, and the fire just Riser says, what the fuck? Issei says, fire's bad. I suggest you don't cause a fire here, because burning things are quite bad, and you don't want to pay for half the damage you do, right? This is what Riser said. Everyone looks at Issei like if he was fucking crazy and he just blow on Riser's fire a bit and it's gone. Riser right now making more fire, and that's where Issei extinguish it again by just a blow. This is where, well, Riser says, what the fuck are you? How the hell are you able to burn and extinguish? Well, not burn and extinguish. Extinguish the fire of a phoenix. The fire of a phoenix? I thought that was just normal flames. Man, I am probably A, tired, or probably A, don't care. This is where Riser growls at Issei and says, that's it. I challenge you, you son of a bitch. I challenge you to a fight. Issei says, well, if I win that fight, you don't marry Rias. And Rias becomes free on her own. Do you accept the challenge, or are you going to be too much of a bitch to actually challenge me? This Riser says, I accept, you son of a bitch. But if I win, you would be killed in an instant. Because I am Riser Phoenix. I would never lose. This is where, well, Issei says, keep telling yourself that. This is where Issei sits next to Rias and kind of just says, hey Rias, it's been a while. So Rias just shocked to see Issei just right in front of her, calm as shit. And just over here just talking to her. Riser saying, don't ignore me. This is where he freezes and seems Gracie. And this is where Gracie sighs. This event has just turned into a 180, and instead Riser's now fighting, well, single-handedly fighting against mostly whoever this person is. This is where Gracie says, may I know your name, low-ranking devil? Sure. The name's Issei Hyodo. Yeah, Issei Hyodo. I mean, I do have another name, but I can't say it. I might say when I beat the shit of Riser. Issei just kind of has a small little smirking grin. It's not cocky or anything. He's just kind of just joking. But this is where, well, mostly gracefully nodded. Now, for some reason, this person looks straight up like a person that she'd rather not fight or at all talk to. Because she met him once, and this guy literally could wipe out the whole, mostly double race. If he wanted to. But this is where, well, mostly she nodded and walked away with a frozen Riser. And this is where, well, the barrage of Riser were shocked to see mostly Riser's flames, the most impressive Phoenix flames ever, extinguish. Literally, Issei blows on them once and they're gone. Issei uses a bit of Reality when he's blown on fire. He easily extinguished them because his Reality was much more powerful than Riser's magic. Just that, and he also imagined the flames to be extinguished. But don't worry about that, because imagination is power. Anything that I imagine comes to reality. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah. But this is where, well, mostly Grace B says, how long do you want to, or when do you want to fight? Issei thinks about it and says, let's see. Ah, yes. I want to fight him in 2 weeks. 2 weeks in time. Would that be fine, or do I need to fight him earlier? Because I can make it shorter. Graceby says, no, 10 days are fine. Good. Okay, thank you again. This is where, well, Graceby can see the quite polite, nice, well, mostly he is quite nice and quite kind of gentleman-like. Like, she thought that mostly Kiba was the only gentleman, but he seems to be quite taking that gentleman step to a different level. This is where, well, she kind of likes the servant. She doesn't know that Issei is no longer a servant. He's a half Shinigami, half human. Just they don't even know that. Because Issei has still the evil pieces within him. Not entirely. He has it right on his shirt. Like one demonic piece in his jacket. Like in his coat. Like, yeah. Just to make sure that the devils are tricked still. If that doesn't work, he would just use the like kind of version of Kyokusugetsu that he has with his Zanpakuto to make sure that they believe him. But yeah. This is where, well, when Graceby nodded and walks away, Issei says, well, I have to go be training then. Should be training on the Red Dragon Emperor's power. Other than that, it's nice to see you, Rias, but I gotta be going. Rias says, no, Issei, you've been gone for 3 weeks. I was worried about you. Why couldn't I contact you? Why couldn't I find your evil pieces? Issei said, I was at my uncle's house, if you wanted to know. I kind of live with my uncle now. And this is where, well, Ria says, and who's your uncle? Someone that you don't really want to talk to. Well, he doesn't like talking to anyone, especially my family. They have a trouble situation with talking to him. Also, do not bring up my uncle's mostly name or mostly anything to my parents because they will be ballistic, going berserk, and in shock. Please don't do that. This is where, well, Azia nodded. She's confused why Issei's saying something like that. This is where, well, mostly Koneko says pervert. This is where, well, Issei says, no, my uncle's not a pervert. Actually, I stopped being a pervert. Actually, in those 3 weeks, I actually did train with my uncle because he's quite professional swordsman. Also, he also taught me the way and stopped being a pervert. So, I'm no longer a pervert, Koneko. I will no longer peep on girls, and you can make sure of that. This is where, well, mostly Koneko was shocked. She was left with no words. She even dropped her candy. She was just like shocked. That what she heard from Issei is he's no longer a pervert. Instead, he just mostly is a normal person now. This is where, well, Kiba kind of said, swordsman, I heard. How strong is he in his swords? He is quite strong. I actually could never hurt him or even land a blow on him. He kept kicking my ass with a wooden sword while I had a real sword. Yeah, you can tell from the whole situation that I basically got my ass kicked multiple times. Even if I got better at using the sword, I still got my ass kicked. But yeah, this where, well, Akeno says, ara ara. So, when will we be able to see your uncle? Never, because he doesn't like any, well, how should I say, he really doesn't like talking to anyone. That's where Issei isn't just gonna tell him, oh yeah, my uncle Sosuke Aizen, and he is literally an infamous criminal. This is where, well, Issei says, you don't need to talk to him. Well, other than that, bye, Rias. I'll talk to you later in 2 weeks. And don't worry, I'll make sure to kick the shit out of Riser and save you from this marriage. This is where Issei smiles. It's such a friendly smile that gave Rias confidence and blush a bit. Just because Issei's so innocent and cute. This is where Rias nodded until she realized what she just did. And this is where Issei said, other than that, bye. This is where Issei walked away. This is where Rias said, Issei, wait, you. She sighs. She then thinks that the 2 weeks should be a good enough time to start training because she doesn't know how powerful her pawn is, even though Issei is no longer her pawn. But we go into 2 weeks later. While mostly the Grummery has gotten stronger, they really didn't get that much motivation, unlike Issei. But yeah, Issei trained to the hardest. He also kind of managed to unlock his Bankai. Well, he did had unlock his Bankai, but he hadn't had it in the stable form. He now can actually fully control his Bankai somewhat. In those 2 weeks, his uncle trained him, pushed him to the hardest, also to actually learn about the Red Dragon's power, because he really did not teach me anything about the Red Dragon's power. Dietrich had basically been forced to teach Issei. Well, not forced, because mostly Issei just asked him nicely, while Aizen said, if you don't train my nephew, you might be turned into lizard soup. This is where, Dietrich was scared of Aizen. He probably will be able to find him get him out of the Sacred Gear and turn his shit into lizard soup. This is where, Dietrich is terrified of, not Riser, mostly Aizen. But of course, we go into a time skip of now the battle. This is where, Graceby mentions out the battle. Sorry, but this is no longer the battle between the Grummery and, the Phoenix. Instead, it's a battle between Rias' pawn, Issei Hyodo, and Riser Phoenix. Lots of high-ranking doubles. Those doubles council members are just laughing, chuckling, saying, wow, this is going to be an easy battle. Those from the Supernatural are just thinking, what the fuck are they thinking about? Putting a pawn against a king? What is happening? This is where, people are just going wild, talking. This is where, mostly someone is watching this TV, but he's not in his house. He's actually in a different dimension. And this is where he has 10 members with him right now sitting on the table. Not this long-ass table. A guy with blue hair grins and says, so, I'm guessing that's your nephew, Lord Aizen. Or mostly the blue hair set. This is where, Aizen nodded. Just keep watching. See how the Phoenix can deal with my nephew. This is where, mostly others kind of nodded. This is where, one person with emotionless eyes nodded also. But we go into mostly the battle. The battle was kind of a one-sided. You see here, Issei was easily blocking all the attacks from Riser's flames. He even blew on it and he literally extinguished it. Like a huge-ass fireball was extinguished from Issei just blowing on it. This is where, Issei also used his sword to block mostly Riser's attacks. And his sword was quite beautiful and majestic to see. This is where, making everyone in the underworld shocked to see Riser right now losing. He's having such a hard time against his pawn. Unless his pawn is basically just still hiding his powers away from Riser, it's seeing that mostly this guy is kicking the shit out of Riser with less of a care in the world. This is where, mostly the Phoenix family is right now just having this look of horror. Mostly his father's having the look of horror. His mother also, because they were going to get a status boost with the Grummery marriage. But it looks like he accepted something that was not supposed to be accepted. This is where right now Raphael is shocked to see her brother getting just absolute mollywopped. Mollywhacked. Yeah. This is where, mostly his older sister and his older brothers are right now just thinking that Rice is an idiot for picking a fight that he wasn't even supposed to. He probably would not be able to win. This is where, mostly one of the older brothers, he's like second oldest, right now sees this and kind of just thinks, I really do want to fight someone like him. He looks interesting. This is where, mostly he talks to himself, but yeah. So while fighting Riser Phoenix, Riser can realize one thing and one thing only. Fighting Issei is like fighting a goddamn brick wall somewhat. Yeah, it's impossible to kind of fight against Issei because Issei literally is someone that can be easily kicking the shit out of Riser. But yeah. This is where Riser has tried so many times to try to defeat Issei. But no matter what he does, he cannot even hurt or hope to even defeat Issei one bit. This is where, well, he keeps sending fireballs, attacks, and anything straight towards Issei. Issei either cuts to it, blows on it, or just kind of slaps it away. Yeah, everyone in the underworld is shocked. Even those in different realms, like, what's it called? Hades realm, whatever. Basically, in anyone's realm, like, what's it called? The angels, fallen angels, devils, you get the fucking point. Mostly just in god realms, different pantheons. Yeah, mostly a lot of people are watching this and are looking at this quite interesting. The fact that Issei's using the sword, weird sword, like they don't even know what it is. This is where Issei said, let's get serious about this. Issei said, I haven't been trying. I should actually admit that. I have not been trying. I've been kind of cocky and arrogant. That's my mistake here. And I should destroy you at once, so you won't get in my way ever again. Rise and sleep. What are you talking about? You? Holding against me? Haha, that's a funny joke, human. Or mostly lower rank. Issei says, I was not holding back. Well, I am holding back. But let me show you. Issei takes his braces off his hand and even off of his legs, and this is where his energy exploded to high max amount. Or not high max amount. He literally dropped one of the weights of his right arm and drops it to the ground, shattering it, but his power exploded. This is where it just doubled in an instant. Issei says, Daedric? Daedric says, with pleasure. This is where the boosted gear actually appears. Boost! This is where, well, right now Riser winds his eyes. You're the Red Dragon Emperor? This power! What are you? Issei says, I am no longer a devil. You see here, I was no longer a devil. You literally should have never challenged me. No, should have never taken my challenge. Let me mention who I am. I am Issei Hyodo. Well, not really Hyodo. I do want to take the name. He did allow me. My name is fully Issei Aizen, and I shall send you to the depths of your dream, your worst nightmares. This is where, well, mostly Riser was confused. Aizen? This is where, well, some people like in the underworld were winding their eyes. Aizen. They know about that name. They know how infamous of a dangerous threat he is. And yet Issei said this name. This is where Issei says, Shikai release. This is where he then says the name of his Shikai being, well, its name is Yumi no Kakera. And it literally means dream fragment. I think that's what I say. Wait. Well, he didn't really say that his name was Issei Aizen, just Issei Hyodo. And this is where he just said that he's a Shinigami. That's all. Shinigami half human. This is where he says Shikai release. Yumi no Kakera, meaning fragments of dream. This is where he then says dreamscape. One of his ability, he activates it, and his sword looks like this. So this is how his mostly Zanpakuto release of his Shikai release it looks like, kind of. But it also kind of looks like this. But yeah, it just transforms into any blade of his desire, of his dreams. But yeah. But this is where, well, he activates the blade to kind of looking like a holy weapon. And this holy weapon looks like a fucking Excalibur. Because yes, Issei read upon the Excaliburs, and he really created Excalibur, the true Excalibur, which is glowing in powerful, bright, holy light, making Riser step back and realize that Issei is not playing around anymore. Riser says, hey, we don't need to do this, right? Yeah, I can leave you alone. We can just let me marry Rias. And Issei says, no, I'm gonna make sure you pay and perish from existence. Issei's voice and mostly threat seems deeper than anything. He might look cheerful and calm and quite innocent, but when you piss him off with people that he loves, he's gonna kill you. He doesn't care. This is where, well, mostly Riser tries to just start sending fireballs and then die, you bastard! Issei goes, blows the fire away. Right now, appearing right in front of Riser and swinging the Excalibur. Be gone, you son of a bitch! This is where, well, Riser, all he can understand is... This is where a huge slash appears in his chest. This is where Riser's regeneration is right now being destroyed by the Excalibur Holy Light. Damn it. Was not expecting this. He falls over and dies in an instant. Or not dies, he just really fucking hurt. This is where, well, Issei doesn't fully use the Holy Light to win the Excalibur. Because he doesn't... He can manipulate the same properties of a holy weapon, just not fully holy. Because this is only his Shikai release. It's not his like true Bankai release. When his Bankai is released, he's gonna destroy anything. Or create anything. But yeah, this is where, well, his holy like sword, the kind of Excalibur. Mostly King's Excalibur just changes back into mostly just a Shikai release. And this is where, well, he swings down and then just puts his Shikai release back into his Zanpakuto state. And putting him back into the sheath and saying, you have lost. Riser Phoenix. This is where, well, all that Riser can understand is blacking out. Damn it. This is where everyone in the underworld is going fucking wild. A Shinigami has just defeated the strongest, mostly, family of the underworld. Not entirely strongest, but they were quite powerful, and yet they got defeated by someone who can literally just make weapons like that. They're like, Shinigami. Shit, a bunch of people saying, holy shit, he's a Shinigami. I thought they really didn't like, what's it called, talking to the supernatural. What the fuck is this going on? This is where so many people are going on wild. This is where, well, Issei pushes his hair back and just says, it looks like I made the whole underworld go crazy. Maybe the supernatural world. This is where, well, mostly we go into dimension. And this is where, well, someone's drinking coffee while grinning, saying, good job, Issei. Good job, my little nephew. This is where, well, mostly Issei then disappears from the kind of realm, just appearing back into the underworld. This is where Issei is walking. This is where, well, all the devils are right now really scared if he can just create holy weapons like historical, very powerful holy weapons, then yeah, they're not really going to mess with him. Issei is just walking. This is where he did put back his bracelet in his hand before blocking a punch from someone. This is where, well, mostly Issei was confused and turns around to see a very, well, mostly ferocious, orangey, blondish haired girl with kind of big opie. No, I'm just kidding, but yeah. Her name is Marileana Phoenix. This is where, well, Marileana says, you're quite strong. So tell me, kid, how about you join my barrage? Issei says, don't like serving people, so no. Issei flips her over and just kind of almost slams her to the ground, but instead just lands her safely. Issei walks away and says, no thanks, not very interested. Please, I don't like serving anyone. Marileana was shocked, but she just grins and lusts after Issei. She will have him, even if she has to go through the goddamn Gremory. But this is where, well, mostly Ruffle did go check on her brother, but yeah, the other two older brothers, they look at Issei with interest eyes. He is quite powerful and quite deadly, and yet he almost kind of got punched by Marileana, but managed to block it. This is where, well, Lady Phoenix is right now making sure that her son is okay, while what's it called, Riser's dad is just disappointed on his son, just getting defeated by a human Shinigami. This is where, well, right now, what's it called, Surzik asks Issei what he wants. Issei wants mostly Ria's Gremory to be free and to marry anyone she wants except for him. This is where, well, he didn't say that in the last part, but yeah. But this is where, well, right now, Surzik's nodding and says that Ria's Gremory is free from any marriage then. This is where, well, right now making the council members just saddened, but they are actually thinking of making an arranged marriage with Issei and Rias. Just because how powerful Shinigami is. Shinigamis usually do not like contacting anyone from the supernatural. This is where, well, especially one who's a half Shinigami. Issei goes up to Rias and says, Rias, I want to tell you something. Rias says, yes? Here you go. This is where Issei drops a box to her and says, other than that, I'm be going home. Bye-bye. This is where, well, Rias was confused. She opens the box and sees 8 palm pieces. Crimson 8-pound pieces. Surzik says, is that your 8-pound pieces? Rhea says, what? This is where she's going in just confusement, and this is where Surzik looks at his little sister in confusement and realizes that those are the 8-pound pieces for the Red Dragon Emperor, who is no longer a devil, a Shinigami, and dragon. Yeah, he's dangerous as hell, but this is where, well, he doesn't really want to mess with the goddamn boy. He has a weird feeling that he should not be messing with that boy unless he wants to piss off someone stronger than him. Yeah, but we go into mostly Issei going to school, but this is where mostly the next day, yeah, that was school, but this is where, well, Rias asks Issei to live with him. Well, to live with Issei. Finds out one thing, that Issei no longer lives with his parents, but this is where, well, mostly Rias then asks him where he actually lives. He lives with his uncle, but his uncle refuses to let her kind of live with him. This is where, well, mostly Rias still wanted to, and when Rias went to go meet Issei's uncle, she was horrified to believe that Issei is related to Sosuke Aizen, who is one of the most infamous criminals of the whole world. She was horrified, shocked, and kind of a little scared. This is where, well, we go into mostly that. But for right now, I'm going to leave it off here because I have to be going by. So, yeah.